Hey everybody, I'm the anime trainer, and today we're going to be talking about something that you do every single day. No, not that. That's gross. I'm talking about breathing. Now, you may not know this, but most people breathe wrong. What do you mean? How can I breathe wrong? Well, before we get into that, go ahead and throw a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new so you don't miss any anime training tips. In Demon Slayer, the Demon Slayer Corps use breathing styles in order to perform their signature sword techniques to defeat the rampaging demons that plague their society. Without those breathing styles, they lose the power necessary to use those powerful techniques. Now, while that is slightly exaggerated, there is a measure of truth to it, as changing your breathing has the ability to ramp up your nervous system or slow it down. It can help you generate more force or brace you for impact or a heavy load. Now, you are most likely breathing too shallow. That means not the whole thing, like you're way up here in the chest. And you're also not using the appropriate muscles to breathe. Most people just use the muscles of their chest to breathe. They're not really using the entire torso. They're not using their belly, which is where you should be breathing into. So you're only really filling a small portion of your lungs when you're breathing with your chest. Now, this makes it hard for your body to function because you have less available air. It can also make you more anxious because you're taking more rapid breaths. So if you breathe really quickly, you'll find that that is a way that hypes you up and gets you ready for action. It activates your sympathetic nervous system. And you'll see a lot of people do that before activity, or you'll see people before a big lift. They're like, before they get ready to go, because they're trying to get everything primed for movement, especially if you're breathing through your mouth. Now, when you are breathing too shallow, you're not using all of the muscles that are in your body that are designed to help you breathe in and breathe out. Now, if your muscles for breathing in, inspiration, or breathing out, which is expiration, are underdeveloped, you may find that it is more difficult for you to breathe in general, and it can possibly help contribute to injury if you are doing things that are more difficult movements or under heavy load. And that means that you won't have the ability to defeat oppressive governments or your corporate overlords. I mean demons. So first of all, let's fix that shallow issue. When you breathe, your chest should not be the thing that moves first. It should be your belly. Your belly will expand and contract in order for you to get as much air into your lungs as possible. Now, some people have a really difficult time with this concept, and when they try to breathe, they're very much up top. You see the shoulders raise. Now, if you're not used to belly breathing, it may take you some time to get used to the technique, and some things that you can do to help get used to that if you're not able to do it standing is you can actually do it laying down, which will help you focus on the abdominal moving itself. Or you can even put your hands on it so you can feel the belly rise and contract. And the reason for that is because without the additional pressure of you standing up, you can actually focus a little bit more on the abdominals moving rather than, oh, I'm trying to breathe normally. So I'm taking all of the weighted portion out of it and I'm just focusing on the belly itself. Now, with consistent practice, you should be belly breathing most of the time in no time at all. And once you've got it figured out, it should be your new standard. And then once we've got it figured out, it's time to introduce some new breathing exercises. Some breathing styles, perhaps. Anime breathing, first form. Anime breathing, first form. Anime breathing, first form.
Yes, it's cringe.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you will, look right here.
All right, now the first one is forced breathing, where you'll breathe in as much air as possible through your nose until you can't breathe any more air in, and then you'll breathe out through your mouth until you can't get any more air out. So what that's going to look like is you're breathing in, down into the belly, until there's no more air in the lungs. And when you're doing forced breathing, I want you to really focus on all of the muscles that are involved in the breathing and out of the breathing. You're going to feel a lot of things contract that you're not used to feeling, and that's okay. We want that. At the very beginning, you're going to sort of feel lightheaded if you're not used to it, because that you taking in all of that air, stretching everything out, and then you exhaling everything, you're gonna have a hard time really contracting the muscles necessary to do that. But when you are exhaling, you want to think about squeezing the abdominal muscles on the inside, not necessarily contracting the top layer of your abs, but the inside of your abdominals. And you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's fine. Over time, especially once you start getting into belly breathing, you will have a better control of your deep abdominal muscles called the transverse abdominis, or your TVA. Most people, when they think abdominals, they think rectus abdominis, or the obliques, which are the ones that we see. But this deep layer is the one that is really more responsible for bracing and the breathing in the core. Although other stuff, chest, you know, they're involved in breathing. If you don't have control over your TVA, you have a much harder time. And over time, you will find that this becomes easier, and your lung capacity and your endurance will improve just by you breathing differently. And that might seem crazy, but it does happen. And forced breathing is also training for loaded movements in strength movements, but we'll get into that. But we're going to talk about the second one. Percussive breathing. Percussive breathing is similar to forced breathing, except on the exhale, you're going to do it in 3 parts, 3 equal parts. You'll have a quick exhalation of about a third, a slight pause, and then repeat 2 more times until all your air is gone. So what that's going to look like is you're going to have a deep breath. All the way in, everything's stretched out. Everything's like, you see my eyes get bigger too. And then I'm going to go. So each one is about the same amount of air coming out each time, and you're having that quick burst of air, that's pause, and then quick burst of air, pause, quick burst of air until all of it's out. That's going to take you a couple times to get used of how much air you need to blow out each time to be done at the 3rd breath, but you'll get used to that with practice. This practice gives you the ability to control that a certain amount of air that comes out, which causes the muscles of the core to contract more quickly. And this is the type of breathing that fighters use when they strike. So you see a boxer punch, you see a mixed martial artist throw a strike, and they do that movement like that. They're using that exhale to help generate power throughout their body by explosive muscular contraction, which is aided by the staccato of that breathing technique, that quick. So, but we're not trying to breathe in each time like you might for a strike. So if I'm throwing a punch, I might have an additional exhale, an additional inhale in between that, so that I don't run out of air. On this exercise, we're not breathing in between each of those at all. It's so little bit, all of it's gone. All right, so the next type of breathing is restricted breathing, and a lot of people have been using this training method for a few years with things like altitude training masks or wearing a mask while running to help with breathing muscles. And this is like that, but not like that, because we're not going to be using any equipment. It's much simpler, and honestly, I feel like it's kind of harder. You'll take a deep breath in through the nose. Okay, you got the deep breath, and then you'll press your tongue just behind slightly parted teeth and pursed lips, and then you'll squeeze your abdominal muscles to force the air out through that tight spot. So what that's going to look like is and you are going to look very goofy. So if you don't feel like looking goofy in public, do it in the privacy of your own home. So you are going to really be feeling a lot of contraction in all of the muscles that are dealing with that exhale. And it is going to be kind of rough at first. If you're not used to it, you probably only get 1 or 2 reps before your abs tap out, or you get a little lightheaded and you're like, okay, I don't want to do that anymore. Then after a while, you can work up to doing, 3 or 4 sets of 3, and then you can do kind of everything all at once. You can get 6 or 8 reps, maybe 10 reps. But you don't really want to go, spend too much time doing it, because you're going to tire your muscles out pretty quickly, because it is pretty intense. You're going to be able to modulate your own resistance with your mouth and your abdominals on your own, so you don't really have to do a whole lot of repetitions. Each repetition, the exhale should last about 6 seconds. If you're doing it slower than that, speed it up some. If you're doing it faster than that, slow it down some. And we're going to save the last type of breathing for the end, so we'll wrap back around to the last style of breathing at the very end. So we're going to start talking about some exercises that you can use with these 3 types of breathing. The first one is an exercise called ladder breathing. I call this an exercise, not a type of breathing like the others, because you can use different breathing styles with this particular technique. And you can do it in any position that you want. You can do it seated, you can do it standing, laying down, whatever. To perform ladder breathing, you're going to place one hand on a portion of your abdominals, and then attempt to breathe into it. You're going to use the hand as feedback, feeling that portion of the abdominals pressing into the hand as you breathe in. And you see here I'm doing it in the low belly. You can do the other side, then up into the ribs, other side, up onto the chest, right in front of the nipple or so, and then up into the upper portion of the chest. And you'll find that you start gaining control of a lot more muscles that are involved in your breathing, because you're using your hand as feedback to be able to feel those expand and contract. And next, let's talk about some advanced applications of each of these breathing styles. And we're going to start with basic positional breathing. Each can be trained during normal exercise, so during your normal workouts or any other thing like that. We're going to start off easy though. You can see I do 1 rep of forced breathing here at the top of a bodyweight squat, and then 1 rep of forced breathing at the bottom of the rep. It's not a complicated movement, but I am training the breathing muscles in a slightly different position than just standing. So I'm fighting gravity because I'm standing, but I'm also in a different position. Now you can do the same thing with either of the other breathing styles. You can do the forced breathing is at the beginning. Then when you get used to that, you can do the percussive breathing. So you can do percussive breathing in the bottom of the squat. And then you can also do the restricted breathing in the bottom of the squat. But it is going to be much more difficult. So start off with the forced breathing, get used to it, and then try the other 2 over time. Now, as you become more comfortable in breathing in these simple positions like the bottom of a squat, or like holding the bottom of a push-up right above the ground, you can move to a staggered position with one hand extended above the head or out to the side. And since the body is no longer in a symmetrical or neutral position, you'll find that it becomes more difficult to focus on the breathing techniques. So it increases the difficulty slightly, and you're also working the muscles slightly different because the body is in a different position. But do remember to do both sides. Don't do everything on the right side and then wonder why you're super sore on this side, not on the other side. Leveling up this even further, we can move into loaded positional breathing. This can take the form of doing the breathing exercises during a normal weighted movement, like a back squat. You can put weight on the bar, do the forced breathing at the top, then do the forced breathing at the bottom. But you are going to want to progress very slowly on this. You don't want to do it like, oh, I've got my 1 RM on the bar, I'm going to do forced breathing, because it is very possible that you could pass right out doing that. So start off with a lighter weight, get used to doing the breathing exercises in a loaded position. It's just like anything else. You can maybe even do it on a couple of your warm-up sets in your exercises, moving into heavier stuff, and then just stop after that. So it can refer to the normal weighted movements, or it can refer to holding awkward positions with weights or pressing into an object like a wall with force in an extended position while doing the breathing exercises. Now, this type of training will allow you to further train your core in positions that you might not think about during the execution of athletic movements, like throwing a punch, swinging a sword, something like using something like a golf club or a baseball bat. Now, frequently those movements don't have strength at the end range of that motion where you're fully extended, because either you've already hit the ball and you are fully extended past the point that you've exerted the force necessary to move the ball. Or for instance, maybe you missed at the end of a punch and now you're open and it's like, I got punched and I'm fully extended and everything sucks. So, how do you train that kind of thing? Well, you put yourself in the position and then you train your core with those breathing type movements in order to give yourself a little bit more stability in those extended positions. So training the core in the extended positions for those movements will keep you safer from injury, and it will allow you to generate more force in their application. Because in general, if you have a range of motion but you don't have any strength in that range of motion, you don't really have that range of motion. And you should be spending about at least a month practicing the basic styles of breathing and getting good at them in standing, seated, and laying down positions before you ever move on to any of the other types of exercises or doing the breathing movements in any other positions. And then when you do them in the new positions or the different more advanced versions, you should always start easier than you think you need to and progress slowly into each new variation, because it is possible for you to overdo things, because with breathing training you don't want to end up straining your core or possibly passing out because you're not used to holding a particular weight and doing a forced breathing exercise. That's why you're going to start slow, progress slowly. That's what we do here. We start easier than we think we need to and progress slowly. You're going to hear me say that a lot. If you've seen any of my other videos, you've already heard me say it a lot, and you're probably going to hear me say it again later. Now, the great thing about breathing training is that you can basically throw it into anywhere in your workout. You don't have to section off an entire day or 20 minutes after your workout or 20 minutes before your workout. Just put the stuff into your warm-up. You can put it in your cool down, or you can put it in between sets, or you can put it in the beginning sections of individual movements once you become a little bit better with learning how to do the breathing exercises. And it doesn't change anything about your program. You're just getting a little more bang for your buck with your current programming, which is pretty cool, and you'll start to see improvements within a few weeks. All right, so let's talk about the final breathing style. And that final breathing style, well, it's one we've already done. It's belly breathing. So we're going to go back to belly breathing because that is the thing that we're going to use to try to bring everything back down, and we're going to take advantage of the belly breathing's ability to take us into a state where we can more properly recover. So at the end of your workout or any time that you want to relax, you can do this anywhere. It's magic. You can slow your breathing down, breathing in through the nose, down deep in your belly, and then out through your mouth. And after a few reps of that, you're going to find that things start slowing down. Your heart rate's going to come down, blood pressure's going to come down. And you're going to start feeling more calm. And that's because you're starting to activate your parasympathetic nervous system. We talked about activating your sympathetic nervous system, which is getting you ready for action. And then your parasympathetic nervous system is the thing that's going to help get you ready to recover. And so a lot of people are really great about getting the sympathetic nervous system going, but not so good about the parasympathetic nervous system. Because if you don't recover, if you're not able to get into a recovery state, all that work that you just did is not going to have as much benefit for you as it could if you were in a better state of recovery. You can do this in a standing position. You can do it in a horse stance. You can do it in a kneeling or a seated or laying down position. Anything that's going to resonate with you to try to get you to calm down. As you breathe, I want you to try to take stock of how your body's feeling. You can feel each individual muscle as you breathe. If you're standing, if you're in a horse stance, if you're in a kneeling position, you can kind of feel everything settle in. And so you can just be in your own skin, be present, and just tell your body thanks for what it's capable of doing. And that gratitude is going to help, just bring your mind into a better position as well. Because your breathing is very powerful. It can, like I said, it can hype you up. Can slow you down. It can get you ready for action, or it can get you ready to go to sleep. And it's something that you have control over. And the more you have control over it over time, the more it's going to help you to be able to accomplish your goals and just feel better in general. Alright guys, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm glad to be back. It has been a little bit since I've made a video, and honestly, I'm going to try to be a little bit more consistent with this stuff. I made a video a few months ago about, you know, a what if that I did, and I am still going to do those kind of videos, but I'm going to get back into making the content that most of you came here for, which is the real anime training workouts. So we're going to get into that, doing some new things, doing some stuff from the blog that doesn't have videos but will have videos in the future, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you very much for being a part of this channel, and honestly, it wouldn't exist if you guys weren't here watching it, because I'd probably be screaming into the ether by myself. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm the anime trainer, and until next time, good luck and train hard. And we do have a link for a free Discord below here. There's also a link where you can get some real anime training, the anime trainer swag, so that you can represent the channel out, and it does help support everything. So check that out for me. Thank you very much. And I want to say a special thank you to all of our patrons. You guys have been amazing, especially those of you who have hung around for the massive layoff that we had. I appreciate it a lot.